There's got to be some change. Two dead, two injured after shooting in Hamilton. 3-year-old wounded by bullet fragments. This was written on WCPO.com by Taylor Waiter and Jessica Hart, published on October 25th, 2022, and updated 2 days later on the 27th. Let's go to Hamilton, Ohio. Two people are dead and two others are injured after a shooting in Hamilton Tuesday night. Hamilton Police Lieutenant John Richardson said officers responded to the 700 block of South 2nd Street shortly after 7 p.m. for shots fired. When they arrived, they found three people with gunshot wounds. Juan Frederick Clemens has lived in Hamilton for decades. He was sleeping when he heard the sound of multiple gunshots. I was laying down asleep in my house and I just heard bam, 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 he said. Clemens walked outside and saw two people lying on the front steps. I knew one very well, and they say a child got grazed in the process, Clemens said. That they was young, bright. Police said one person was pronounced dead at the scene. The two others were taken to the hospital where a second person was pronounced dead. Lieutenant Patrick Erb said a 3-year-old was also wounded by bullet fragments during the shooting. A 3-year-old. Like, just because of the recklessness and senselessness of the violence, we now have a 3-year-old that's injured in the midst of this. There's got to be some change. Change needed to happen years ago. But it's like, okay, that should be a wake-up call, said Shaquila Matthews, the founder of Hamilton Young People Empowered, HYPE. Matthews, known as Pastor Shaq to many in her community, is an anti violence advocate and pastor. She lost her brother to gun violence 6 years ago. When she heard about the quadruple shooting, she had a lot of questions. So many questions went through my mind, like, what happened? What was the situation that led to someone taking someone's life? She said. I can't help but to wonder what got them to that point to put a gun in their hand and have enough anger, rage, or whatever it is to pulling that trigger and firing that weapon. Pastor Shaq hopes HYPE gives teens hope that they can have a bright future. She noted to stop the violence, everyone has to get on board. This is not a neighborhood problem. This is Hamilton. This is a Hamilton issue. This is a city issue, Matthew said. We all have to come together collaboratively to work together. Anyone with information is asked to call the Hamilton Police Department's Investigations Division at this number. And of course, if you read more, two dead after apparent murder-suicide in Hamilton identified. One person fatally wounded in Hamilton, police say. Police, woman stabbed to death in Hamilton. Officers found body on the floor of home. You know, they say if you look only at the trees, you'll forget the forest. But as we look at the mass shootings and the shootings in general that have happened in the United States in just 2022 alone, it's a forest of bodies, rivers of blood. This is not hyperbole. We are close to 700 mass shootings where four or more people were shot at one given time in 2022 alone. 700 mass shootings. That's more than two per day. A 3-year-old was shot, a person who didn't have time to develop and grow. And while in the United States, we have some people, particularly on the right, who are obsessed with telling women what to do with their bodies and saying that they need to protect unborn life, they are silent. In fact, they advocate for gun ownership. They are silent about the number of children that are killed and hurt every year due to gun violence. In Philadelphia alone in 2022, there were close to 200 children, people under 18, who have been shot or killed by gun violence. This is insane. This needs to stop. Not too far away from Ohio, there is Canada, a country that has decided to ban the import of handguns. Mass shootings are not just because of mental illness. We need to stop this propaganda, the lie that we continually tell ourselves that mass shootings only happen when 10 or 20 kids are killed in a school, which all Americans will agree will probably happen again. Nobody wants it to happen again, but it will happen again because there has been no substantive change or reform about gun control in the United States. The solution is not to have every teacher carry a gun. The solution is not for every citizen to have a gun. The solution is to try to mitigate and lessen the number of guns that we allow in our society, because the more guns we have, the more homicides we have, the more suicides we have, the more accidental deaths we have. It's a statistical fact. If you don't believe me, please go watch the video I made about gun statistics and gun violence and gun crime. This is not a problem affecting only Chicago or LA or New York. This is a problem that affects primarily the rural parts of the country. The places that have the loosest gun laws have the most number of shootings and homicides. Statistically, not talking about in number, because of course on the coast there will be more people shot and hurt. But this is a nationwide problem. It's not just a problem for the blue side or the red side. This is all Americans. A 3-year-old was hurt in this and possibly might succumb to their injuries later. We don't know. How much more carnage do we have to face before we care about our children? How much more death do we have to see before we care about other citizens? The solution is to abolish the Second Amendment, to boycott these gun manufacturers, ask for divestment from any company that is in business with the gun manufacturers, and to have real substantive change, just like what they have in Europe, just like what they have in Australia, just like what they have in New Zealand, just like what they have in Canada. We need to have the same sort of gun laws to lower the amount of people who are hurt every year. It's insane. This does not need to happen. These are all preventable deaths, preventable injuries. My name is Simon Hill. Abolish the Second Amendment. Thank you for watching, and peace.